over here, that would help. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live reality game Survivor 42, Episode 11 breakdown. I'm not your typical host. I'm Naomi. I'm replacing Kirk. Kirk is off jet setting around the world, I think, or just playing another LRG. So I'm here with three of my favorite college Survivor participants. Let's say, sorry, Ian, but we have some of the fantastic players and production members from Survivor Michigan. Ian, editor of many a season, and just I would say one of the public speaking voices of Survivor Michigan at this point in time. Ian, how's it going? Welcome back.
It's going well. It's going well. Enjoying this season of Survivor and still working hard at work on the next season of Survivor Michigan. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing these days.
Yeah, man, stop answering people on Discord and get to editing. Come on. We also have cast member from Survivor Michigan All Stars and season 2 and production for 3 and 4. We have Sam. Sam, how are you doing?
Howdy, I am doing wonderful. So much better than I was before. The moments after Drea went home is so unfortunate, and now I'm here with some wonderful friends on the wonderful LRG podcast. I don't know if it can get any better.
You've emotionally recovered, and I'm very happy to hear that. And another amazing player from Survivor Michigan 3 and All Stars, and also from production from season 4, we have Dr. Will. Will, how is it going? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Just keeping it real.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I was still now working.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, guys, I won't ask any All-Star spoilers. It's fine. But we're going to talk about episode 11, everything Survivor 42. And what a great episode to talk about, because there is so much in this episode. It's actually kind of insane. So I just want to start off. Did you guys expect the do or die twist this episode? I know it was like kind of teased, but did you think it was going to come back at all?
Yep.
I figured that all the twists from 41 were going to come back again, so I wasn't that surprised.
Yeah, it seemed
I was
like the way
kind
it
of
was
dreading
going.
it, to be honest. So I was like, okay, everything is kind of repeated 41 so far as these twists go. A lot of good. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great ways this season has played out. I'm just like, please not the do or die. Please not the do or die. I know it's coming, but I don't want it to come. But nobody got eliminated from it, so it's fine. I'd be much more upset if.
Oh my god!
I'm convinced they're rigging it. That it's not really do or die. It's whoever. They're gonna make sure the person always survives. But they're just doing it to try and juice those TV ratings.
We were talking before the show started that this is like a 1 in 9 shot that this would happen 2 times in a row, that they would pick the correct box and then go with their gut and not switch. It really is defying probability at this point.
It's absurd. And
if it happens next season, then Survivor's rigged.
For sure.
Especially the Monty Hall problem. I'm sure everyone's going to be tweeting about it tonight, but last season, everyone was saying, do you switch or do you not switch? This season, everyone's saying, do you switch or do you not switch? And both times, nobody switched, and they were fine. I mean, I am not good at math. I don't understand any of the odds of it, but I know that is also pretty crazy, that sticking your gut keeps you safe. Do you guys, Sam, do you agree that it's potentially rigged? I feel like Ian may be going out on a limb here, but maybe he's got some truth.
I don't know. I was definitely noticing at one point, Jeff, there's the 3 boxes, and he was like one of them has fire and 2 of them don't. And I was like, I wonder if is Jeff in a little bit of I don't know, subconsciously
he's trying to do the magic
one?
Yeah, he's an America's Got Talent magician, trying to get someone to pick the right box that he.
Yeah, it did kind of cut weird there. I feel like he kind of he did kind of smack the box really fast, and I feel like the camera kind of changed angles or something. It didn't seem totally natural.
I don't know. You never know.
I'm not one for conspiracy theories, though.
I do wonder, with some of those things, though. I think also of the what's that twist with the die, whatever, the
shot in the dark.
The shot in the dark.
None of them have worked yet, but the way that it's done is they put something in a box and we don't really see what happens, and then Jeff comes out later with a paper, and it's
dude, they should roll a giant dice. They should roll a giant dice. That would be a lot better.
That'd be
okay.
great.
So I only found this out because I did an episode of my podcast that's coming out later with Alex Brizard, who's going to be on the Circle, and he is a fan of the Shot in the Dark. But the reason it's called it's a die that you don't roll because it's just a 1 in 6 chance. So like the size of the die are supposed to represent that you have 1 in 6 chances. It's insane. It makes no sense. I agree, and they should just have one big dice back at camp that you have to like pick up and bring with you, and then just throw it in front of everybody.
That'd be hilarious. Or even better, I said, was it should be a dice that you throw it into the fire or something, or you roll the dice and it's all blank, and then whatever side it comes up, you put it in the fire and it like burns through and reveals whether or not you like live or die somehow. Like
you want like a gender reveal party on Survivor, like
something like that.
Throw something into the fire and it turns a different color. Like
like it
I like the visual
The
idea.
fire or
something. They should find like a radioactive isotope that has like a 1 in 6 chance of decaying into a gamma ray that will kill you.
That's exactly. They should invent a new element just for this.
Survivium.
Propstium. Propstium.
Survivium. That's it.
Survivium. Yeah. Well, I don't dislike these twists as much as everyone does. Like, I'm gonna speak a little bit for like the youth, the younger generation. Like you guys,
you guys speak for the youth.
Yeah, you guys all watching Survivor, for like 15, 20, 30 years in some cases, you've watched every single season, whatever. I only started watching Survivor, a couple years ago. And I'm young, and the way you guys sound, it sounds like when I criticize superhero movies. I'm always like, oh, superhero movies, they're not good, nowadays. It's just action, it's just whatever the young people want to see. And then other people are like, oh, you know what? It doesn't bother me because I just go to it to watch a good movie. And I go and I enjoy it. I don't care about the plot. I don't care if it makes any sense as long as there's drama and action. But that's how I feel watching Survivor. Does it make sense? No. Like, is it good for the strategy or whatever? No. But I'm not. If I played the game, would I hate it? Sure. But I'm not playing the game. I'm watching the show. And on the show, very dramatic. Going into it, oh, is Lindsay going to win? Is she going to lose? It made the challenge really, really dramatic. Like, that's good TV. I'm sorry. That's good TV. You might not like it. It's good TV. That's what I think.
It's a good point. Sam, I want to know, do you agree with Lindsay's decision to play, knowing, of course, Jonathan's going to play?
Yeah.
If you were in Lindsay's shoes, would you have done what you did?
I feel like I definitely would do what she did. I was really saying it. I actually watched the episode with my parents. And I was just like, literally, like, if I was there, like, I would definitely 100% be playing this, just because, like, you don't want to be the person that goes home because, like, you didn't, win. Like, the thing about Drea's probably thinking, like, damn, I wish I would have played the challenge. Maybe she would have had to do the do or die if she had. But, like, you don't want to have regrets that, like, oh, I got voted off because I didn't even decide to do the immunity challenge. Like, I think especially of the challenges where people have, like, dropped out to get, pizza or whatever, like, you have to regret. If you get voted off that episode, there needs to be some part of you that regrets, like, oh, I could have prevented this by at least competing and, like, at least, like, seeing what happened. Mm-hmm. I understand the strategy for not doing it, but I think I definitely, like, I'm on the side of, like, I have a lot of respect for Lindsay doing it just because, like, I mean, it's a risky move, but she probably also assumed that at least one other person would do it and that she would be able to outlast them. Like, I feel like I would be able to do it knowing that, like, okay, if I feel like I can outlast one other person, then, like, I'll be fine. Like, I didn't expect them to be the only two people that did it is the thing.
I don't totally get it, though, because from my perspective, it was like, I felt like Lindsay was playing because she wanted to make sure that Jonathan didn't win, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's she knows that she has a good relationship with Jonathan. I mean, she's getting sick of him as an ally because he's really bossy, and he, like, talks over her and stuff all the time. But, like, at the same time, like, she knows that he trusts her. So why would she want to put her neck out there on the line just to be the one that knocks him off of the pedestal? I mean, in a worst case scenario where he wins, it's like she's still in good with the person who won. So I feel like she made a really bad move by playing in the challenge.
That's a good point, Ian. It was dramatic. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what about Lindsay's choice, like the optics of it?
I agree with Will. I feel like it was a bad decision. I feel like what Sam's saying, though, like, it comes down for me. I think I'm somewhere in the middle because it seems like it depends on what you think the dynamics are, like what kind of challenge it is. Like, if you haven't been doing so well in the challenges, and you see this as a physical kind of challenge, then I definitely wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was a challenge that I could do well at, And I feel like most of the other people knew that Lindsay and Jonathan were kind of the only ones who might win this anyways. So in that case, it's kind of like, what's the point of you going for it if you don't think you even have a chance to win? And I feel like realistically, only one of the two of them was going to win it. So, but that's almost more of an argument for why Lindsay shouldn't have done it, because she could have maybe reasoned that no one else was going to do it. And again, yeah, like Jonathan, I don't even think she should have wanted him out, honestly. Like, he's not going to win at the end. You know that for a fact. So, like, what are you afraid of? He's never going to vote you out. He'll like probably take you to the end and you can just like crush him, honestly. Like, I feel like Lindsay's ideal final three is probably like Jonathan and like Marianne or Romeo, honestly. So like she should probably still want him in the game.
It's a good point. And I also think so something that I heard from the episode that I kind of have like a quibble with is what Probst was saying, which is that the do or die helps a person who's on the bottom, which I think is total bullshit. And I think that it's totally made up. Like the idea that like someone like Romeo wants to play a challenge to lose it, to basically lose the opportunity, because you can't play an idol to say like you. It's insane. It's so insane. I was furious hearing him say that.
You'd have to be so far on the bottom, bottom,
and be terrible at challenges.
You have no chance at winning the challenge at all. You have no chance at getting anyone on your side back at camp, and you're willing to take a 1 in 3 shot at immunity like that. That is how far on the bottom you have to be.
Ranged.
It doesn't make that definitely does not help you on the bottom, really.
I feel like it's just interesting how it played out so much differently in season 41, though, where like I feel like half the people, if not more than half the people, competed. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I thought that at least like 4 people played it.
It was at least 3. I'll look it up right now, but it was definitely 3.
Yeah, like I was just like assuming that like more people would do it, and like I feel like if I was in that position, I would have also thought like, oh, most people are probably going to do this. Like, you make a good point about like because of how dominant Lindsay and Jonathan are, that like other people will be afraid of not doing it.
It's
like in the scenario that like everyone's more balanced in their challenges, though, then like people, I feel like people will be more likely to thinking like, oh, I could win this. I think that this season happens to have people that are at the top that are just like so much better at challenges than the rest, which makes it like a different dynamic kind of.
Yeah, and also seems like the social dynamic is kind of strange in that like everybody really thinks they're just like in really good, and then suddenly one day they're just done. And like Drea, I feel like up to this point I never even heard anyone even mention going after, or Mike. And in this episode it was just like, all right, like Drea's done basically. Like I was just like, what? Like where did they even come from, honestly?
It's like every time that you step out into the spotlight to like try to make a big move, you're immediately a target after that.
Yes. Austin says, anyone else is utterly flabbergasted as I am. Happy to welcome Dre into the 7th place Icons Club. Hi, Austin.
What's up, Austin?
We'll get to it, I think, a little bit. But I think it's so funny that like Probst is like, oh, this will save someone on the bottom. And like Romeo, someone who is like very, very clearly in no power, literally votes against the majority this episode, would never think about taking it. It's really bonkers to me. Now,
is he the one who voted for Mike?
Yes. So it's Drea had 2 votes. She had an extra vote, and then Romeo was the additional vote for Mike. Now, I want to sort of propose this. What happens if Lindsay doesn't do it and Jonathan just wins immunity because everybody else says, no, I don't want to compete? Like, is that kind of ruining the idea of competing for immunity?
I definitely, I would feel like, I was like, wow, that was lame. I would just think like, okay. I mean, I guess it would just eliminate the do or die advantage. And then all of a sudden it's just like a normal episode, but I don't know.
Or does he have to do the do or die advantage because he's the first one to drop out of the challenge, technically?
He just doesn't buy himself until he drops.
Yeah.
You're the first one to drop, Jonathan. Tough.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's both safe and completely screwed.
Well, he's safe. He's safe. He's at that point, wouldn't they? He's safe in the sense that he actually can't be voted out, but he could still lose the do or die and be instantly out. Like he's immune from getting votes, but if he loses the do or die, he's still out of the game. Basically, it's how it works.
Oh, my
it's called immunity without safety. It's a whole new thing they've added this season. Actually, you should check it out.
Without safety.
Oh my God. I I have to say that like the do or die. So last season, 5 people competed, so it was a little more tense. And I'm pretty sure Deshaun just like had, it was that challenge where you're holding the balls like on and he just went like, and it was over in like a second. Where this was, I think, a much better challenge to do this for. Although I also think that it like dissuaded certainly some people who were maybe not as physically strong from participating. But I think we've seen all season like everybody drops out and then it's just Lindsay and Jonathan left. So
yeah,
is there any challenge you would rather see this be introduced as a part of, maybe like a puzzle or like a Samotion, like something that is much more mentally hard to compete in? Will, is there something that comes to mind? The challenge god of Survivor Michigan 4.
I don't know. I feel like nothing's coming to mind as far. I mean, I know they used to have like a lot of like trivia challenges and stuff, but those are all definitely history. So I can't even really think of like a purely like mental challenge they would do at the end. They seem like they're almost all balance or like physicality based.
Shame.
Is anyone else coming to mind?
Maybe a memorization one could be kind of fun. Like the one where you have to like repeat, like Jeff has the different symbols. You have to drop the blocks with the colors. I kind of like that one.
I miss that challenge so much.
They need to mix it up a little bit. I feel like all the challenges are were kind of similar this season.
Yeah, they're really. I feel like they've become very uninteresting, honestly, in general.
I totally agree. There's a Reddit post recently that I read that someone is saying like we need to make sure that these challenges are so different. Jerica, hello Jerica. A puzzle would be interesting. Whoever finishes it first wins immunity. Whoever finishes it last has to do or die. I think I think it's much more interesting than a first dropout. Is almost like a challenge style where it's like if you lose the challenge, you just have to not be last rather than not being the first dropout. You just have to not be last. I think that
I like that better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're last, but it's last in a different. You have like a full chance to like.
Then you're being punished for like being terrible at it, basically.
Yeah, it's like Cassie in Survivor Michigan season 3. Niche reference here. Last place, she had to eat the candy corn, lost her vote.
Oh my god!
You love to punish people that are last.
I completely forgot about that. I didn't even know what you were talking about.
I remember.
So niche that the editor even forgot about it.
That is niche.
You know what's completely missing from Modern Survivor in these like final few challenges? Do we ever see ones where there's a course of some kind that they're competing on all together, mixed together? Like,
no,
like think of like a maze or like like a spider net thing.
Yeah, I love
through or like
the giant slides. I miss them so much.
Yeah. Just something where you don't have each person in their own little compartment that's some built thing that's identical to each other person's built thing. Like they do that every single challenge.
Dude, like, what was that one? I can't remember what season it was, but there was one I saw where it's like you had to they were like it was at night and they were in the woods and they had to run to these different stations.
They used to do that like every season
and like
the first like
things
10
basically. That was great. Why don't they bring that back?
That's a challenge I've always pitched to Chris at Survivor New York. I've always been like, I want to do a story run into the woods memorization. He'll never do it. I'm kind of mad about it. I love that challenge.
I don't know.
Especially memory, so this is supposed to be the hardest season of Survivor.
It must be a production thing. Like it's just easier to make these ones.
This is supposed to be the hardest season of Survivor. We need more memory challenges, I feel like, because as Jonathan talks about a lot this episode, like everyone's really depleted and tired and grumpy. Guys, what do you think of Jonathan? What do you think of Mr. I eat 2,000 calories and burn 2,000 calories a second kind of dude? Like, Sam, what's your take on him?
Jonathan, he is very good at challenges. He has no chance to win. Not one chance to win. I love the showdown between him and Lindsay. I felt like we've been seeing that all season, and it was great TV watching that play out. But Jonathan, his social game is just like it's just so bad. It's just insanely, just like the definition of just like all brawn, but like no brain, and kind of like his strategy that I've seen. But what he has with brawn is like some of the best I've ever seen. But like if you can't pair that with at least some strategy or some social game, like you're not going to do so well. You'll get far, but you're just going to piss everybody off.
I don't know. I'm not that impressed, honestly. I mean, I think it's great that, he eats 18 eggs and 9 pieces of cheese a day. Anyone who consumes that much food is pretty interesting. But I just am disappointed, honestly, in his challenge performance. I mean, I was watching from the merge, and before the merge, thinking like this is the first chance that we ever really have to beat that like 5 individual immunities record. That like you have Colby Donaldson, I think Terry Dietz, Brad Culpepper. Who the hell else is in that club? I don't know, maybe Tom Westman. I don't remember. But like this is it. If anyone is ever going to win 6 individual immunity challenges, it's going to be Jonathan. And then no, not at all. So I'm unimpressed.
Been impressed because he hasn't won 6 challenges.
I'm unimpressed. Communities. And I looked at him. I looked at how he did in the pre-merge, and I thought this is the guy who's going to win 6 challenges. And I don't know.
I will say though, I think as unlikable as he is, as terrible of a social game he has, I think he does have one fair point, which is that, yeah, he is hungrier than everybody else because he does need more food. Like, that's just a fact. Like, if you're driving an F-150, you need more gas than like one of those small buggy guys. And that's like Jonathan. So I think he is, being pretty unreasonable with pretty much everything he says.
Yeah.
But it is fair that he's like kind of hungry, honestly, because he does look like a pretty big dude. My biggest thing is I just don't understand why anyone wants to vote him out. If everyone just agrees no one's going to vote for him at the end, like, why do they want to get rid of him? Who cares? Like, what's the big deal?
I think this is a really good point. And it's very funny to me, like the way that somebody becomes a GOAT. I don't really know how to fully articulate it, but I've seen it happen so many times in real games, in live reality games. And to me, I think it like something just has to happen. And I think it usually happens at tribal council. I think with Angelina, it was asking for the jacket, and then combined with the John Mayor of Slamtown Blindside, we're using Dan's idol for no reason. I think that they reach a point where they just annoy everybody, and everyone's like, this person sucks. Never mind. I don't care about them anymore. And this game is so much, it's so not about strength, which leads me to ask this question about, like, in the beginning, we see Mike establishing a 5-person alliance of Omar, himself, Drea, Jonathan, and I think Lindsay, I guess, would be included in that. That's supposed to be like the 5 strong till the end. What I would say, I don't know how you guys feel, never trust this kind of alliance. If you're 5 strong to the end, they're lying to you. Yeah. And I can't believe Drea bought it. And Sam, that's what I kind of want to ask is, like, I was shocked that Drea bought it. Were you surprised that this was something that she thought was totally cool and normal and was going to work?
I honestly feel like you got to give a lot of testament to Omar for how well he has been, how well he has done at like gaining everyone's trust, and like specifically in this situation, Drea, because I feel like she knew that like this 5 wasn't going to work for her. She wanted to go after Mike, and I think she had Romeo's vote with her. She had her extra vote. She had her path. I think that she was maybe a little bit overconfident in her relationships with Lindsay and Omar. But I also feel like you at a level, I want to give credit to Lindsay and Omar. I feel like both of them are really good players and like have been playing the middle really well. So like, I can't fault Drea too much. I mean, obviously, like, it's tough that when you're in alliance with like other threats, I guess maybe Drea kind of has the thought that like, well, they need me around as a shield. Maybe we'll keep each other as shields until like it's time to go after each other. And it kind of seems like Mike and Drea, like that time kind of came this episode. We're like, all right, it's time to come after each other. And like, I feel like Omar and Lindsay really were in the position where they could kind of choose what side they're going to go with.
That's a good. Will, what do you think? Like, especially about, strong till the end.
Oh, geez, I don't know. It's like difficult because I feel like in that position, you want to like believe what you want to believe. And like, I don't know, it seems like these alliances never stick together anymore. They always crumble immediately. So you should look at the alliance and know that like every single person has an ulterior motive. But at the same time, I feel like, someone like Mike is very, I don't know, he seems very forthright. He seems like an honest person. And I feel like if he were looking in my eyes and telling me that he wants the strong to stick together to the end, I would probably believe him and think that he's coming from an honest place. And it's always flattering to be told by someone that like, oh, you're in the strong group, that's going to stick together. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, why? I mean, when it comes down to it, Drea should have someone who she can go to within that group that she really trusts to like get the dirt on. I feel like maybe at this point she doesn't quite have that anymore.
I
mean, I think it's just because she had, like you're saying, she had such a I think she just played such a good game. She had a very big target on her back, and all her advantages like started to hurt her more than help her. I think at this point, because all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, you have like infinity advantages." Like
advantages are hurting everyone.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I don't really understand why no one seems to be catching on to that Omar is just running the entire game and has been for like weeks and weeks. Like as much as I want to give Omar tons of credit for being like a genius, honestly, like it's just a lot of people also not being super smart. Like when Omar was like, "Oh yeah, Mike, like your boy Romeo, who's been your boy or not Romeo, he's been your best buddy since day one. Oh, he like called you his puppet or whatever." And then like you're not gonna check that with like you're not even gonna ask him like, "Yo, like I've been hearing some shifty stuff, but you're just like, oh, High's dead to me, like 100%, like kill him." And it's just kind of like at any point, like, has no one been double checking if they were just double checking with each other, like, oh, who's like your closest ally? Oh, it's Omar. Like pretty quickly, everybody would realize, wait a sec, something's not right in Chinatown here. And how come Mary Ann and like someone should be more skeptical? Like, there's 4 of those people still from that original tribe.
Yeah,
and no one ever seemed to care about that at any point during the game. Those guys have never gone against each other.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah. If I was Drea or whatever, that's what I would mostly be concerned about.
Yeah.
But like,
remember how long ago Jonathan was like, "Oh yeah, like us 4, like we're so tight, we love each other so much." Like middle of the pre-merge, just like, okay, there's 15 people left in the game. You're outing your 4-person alliance. That is now in the final 6. So
literally, like Marianne was like, "Fuck that guy! I can't believe he just said that shit." And and here they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised honestly if it's like really deceptive editing and those 4 are just like super tight and not going to turn on each other. Like that wouldn't totally shock me. But it would shock me if like that would just be everyone else being really foolish and not like having any issue with it. I don't really understand, honestly.
I would say that they've done, if that's true, I think they've done a good job of still like, I mean, I don't know. It seems like Lindsay really does actually want Jonathan out. Like, I think there actually is some sort of splinters in their alliance. Maybe it's partly on purpose. Maybe Mike wants them to stick together, but maybe there still is some sort of like infighting, kind of like the Kasaya like group and like where they kind of like, they have all this infighting, but they kind of just like stick together anyways. And it just kind of confuses everybody else. I don't know.
This brings me to a question, because this is my theory coming out of this episode. I think Marianne could win the game.
Now, I'm worried about that too.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't say anything positive or negative yet, but I think Marianne can win, because I think that if people like Omar and Lindsay go, and Mike, especially considering the way that Drea played the game, even while going out the door, throwing the Mike even says like, "Thanks for the death wish." I think that those 3 certainly have a big target on top of them. And if she's next to Romeo and Jonathan, I think that there's a lot of people who have a lot of love for Marianne on the jury. And I think that having an idol, which I think from the preview she's going to tell Romeo about, I think that Marianne could make some moves here that could really put her in a good spot. Ian, you don't like Marianne? You got something against her?
It's not that I dislike her. Honestly, in that final 3, I think I would even maybe be rooting for her. It's just that I liked a lot of the other players like a lot more. Like I was saying earlier before we got on that I really was hoping that Drea would win the game, maybe just because everybody loves Omar. I get he's been playing an amazing game, but something about the look in Drea's eyes, you just knew that she did not give a fuck about anybody else at all and would have cut pretty much anybody in a second. And I thought something about it, just like everybody trusted her, and yet somehow watching the TV, you were just like, oh my God, she's gonna just stab everyone in the back. And I was really hoping she would just kind of snake her way to the end, because she had a billion advantages. Like she was in with everybody. So I was rooting for her and Mike just because he's such a clown. But like Marianne, I just feel like she hasn't really done anything up to this point. So like, and even if she does get to the end, it would be a like all the big threats go against each other type of thing, unless they're doing some really deceptive editing again, which like I guess happened with the last season. Because they also didn't show I'm honestly blanking her name. What's the name of the girl?
Heather and Erica.
Erica, yeah. Apparently she was like,
poor Heather.
Yeah. Apparently they were like writing the whole game, but like they didn't really show that. So if we get to the end and it turns out, oh yeah, Marianne told Omar what to do for every single vote, then I'll be like, oh wow, I guess I didn't see that on the show. But the show really looks like she's done jack shit up to this point. Not gonna lie.
I think she could win against Jonathan at the end, but I don't know. I feel like the final tribal council would be a game of like who is going to self-destruct first through their own jury speeches.
Well,
like
definitely Jonathan.
Marianne.
Oh, I mean, Jonathan he's getting no votes going in.
Yeah, would Romeo just like could
Romeo
like,
might win if he's just quiet and lets the other two.
Where art thou, Romeo? There's no way he's winning after that.
Okay, that should have been the title of the episode for the record. That was one of the best lines I've heard in Survivor in months. Where art thou, Romeo? That was killer, dude. Mike deserves to win the game just for that.
Mike said a lot of quips this episode, but Ben brings up a good question. What do you think would happen if the final three was Romeo, Mike, and Marianne?
Oh, Mike, right?
I think that it could be Mike. The question I think is really like, who does Omar vote for in that group? And here's why. Because Omar like lied to Mike, got Mike to do his bidding, but he's also been working with Marianne and everybody and Romeo too. Like, I think it's interesting who Omar would stump for in that group. But Sam, what do you think in Romeo, Mike, and Marianne?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in that case, it would also depend on how the rest of the game turns out. Like who's making the moves in order to get to that final three, who's winning immunities. But to this point in the game, I feel like a big part of the game too is the social game. And I guess like I don't know exactly. I haven't seen the full story. I don't know exactly how everyone's game is, but the impression I gotten from the edit at least is that Marianne annoys some people, whereas like Mike seems to be generally like respected, well liked by everybody. So in that case, I would probably just assume that he would win, and he would probably get people like Roxroy and Jonathan, and
Yeah.
But I could see Omar. I could see Omar voting for Marianne. So I feel like it would depend on what happens. I think that it could be up in the air, but the way I kind of see the game is, I feel like the bigger threats are kind of like Omar, Lindsay, Mike, and then maybe like the people that are lesser threats that probably need to team up would be probably like the group you're talking about of Marianne, Romeo, and Jonathan. But I don't know.
Jonathan, I just every time. So some exciting things to remind everyone. Lindsay has an idol now. Like Lindsay just straight up has an idol. And additionally, Marianne has her idol. Mike's idols. Well, because Lindsay's amulet turns into an idol.
Oh, so
I believe.
Who knows about that though? There's people who know about that, right? She told
pretty much
Mike
everyone.
or does everyone just know about it?
That's interesting. You're right. So Lindsay kind of should have kept her mouth shut. I feel like she should have just not said anything, and then she'd have an idol.
Does Lindsay and Omar have idols now?
Lindsay and Marianne have idols, and then Omar has Mike's idol, but I'm sure he'll give it back to him. But
so half the people will be like, I mean, are people just gonna play idols left and right and like someone's makes to read like?
And does Omar go home because of it? Like, I feel like this is a horrible spot for him.
That would be tough. He should pull off that idol. Just don't give it back to Mike. Like,
he should low-key refuse to give it back. Honestly,
if he's such a bad, I feel like he would look like such a villain though. Like, and he would lose Mike's jury vote. Like, it could turn ugly really fast if he did that.
I feel like Mike would he'd be pissed at him, but I feel like if Mike was on the jury, that he would respect it at that point.
Well, so that something kind of similar happened on this most recent season of Australian Survivor. So slight spoilies, but someone took somebody else's idol, held onto it, voted them out, and nobody ever let it go. They were screwed from the moment that it happened, and it's like
I feel like that was a little different though. To be honest,
it was a little different, but I don't know. I feel like people are very like. I feel like there's like the line, and that's always like the crossing of the
that
line.
Was the equivalent that was more the equivalent of if he had taken the idol and voted out Mike this episode, right?
Yes, I agree.
The thing is though, in Survivor, the way that the game has evolved since the beginning has always been like there's some moves that are like seen as that's like too like beyond the game, like like you're creating alliances, like what are you doing creating alliances? You're like like you're blindsiding someone without telling them what's happening, like that's so evil, that's so wrong. Like this can be a kind of thing where I could see it like wow, like you took someone's idol, didn't give it back. Like I feel like we already kind of saw some groundwork from that like last season when I'm blanking on it when Shan took JT's like advantage and then voted him out. Like we're seeing a little bit of precedence. Like, it's a matter of time before someone does the same thing with an idol, and they're like the first one. Like, you're the new game changer. Look at you.
Is that what Russell Hantz did to JT back in Heroes and Villains?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Russell also was Russell, and got destroyed by the jury after. So the strategy hasn't panned out yet, I guess, for either of them. But
it's final 6, so like I don't think it's that evil, especially if there's odds that like multiple idols are going to be played. Like, you don't want to be one of those people without idols, but it's just idol again, and it's like,
I mean, when you're at this point of the game in Modern Survivor, if you don't have an advantage, you're going to get voted out. Basically, it's like almost impossible to make it on social strategy past like 6 or 5.
This brings me to another question, right? Which is the sort of Mike Omar of it all, because in this episode we see that Mike is like, great, we're gonna vote out Dre, it's gonna be awesome, and Omar is constantly thinking like, should I vote out Mike? And I'm wondering now, seeing that there are 3 idols at final 6, somebody's gonna win immunity, and probably it's going to be Jonathan. So let's assume, right, Jonathan or Lindsay wins immunity, and then there's like an idol, 2 more. Like, would it have been better to vote out Mike this episode, so then Lindsay doesn't have an idol? Dre is still in the game as a threat level. You maybe screw Mike out of his idol if you go that route. But I'm curious from all of your perspectives, like, Will, what do you think about the option that Omar is presented with voting out Mike instead of Drea? There's a lot to think about, I know.
Okay, so he votes out Mike. So now, wait, you said he votes out Mike, so Lindsay
would not have an idol anymore because Drea would still be in the game. Which is insane. This is also like, oh my god. So
yeah.
I feel like he's better off having Mike being loyal to him for having saved his life, and they still have the idol together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's probably more value in it than Lindsay and Drea both having their advantages and their amulets, and Omar being down a loyal soldier, probably. And
also Drea's mad that like, well, she would know too that like, oh, Mike didn't have the idol, so obviously like Omar is,
and the idol would be over there now. The idol would be with Drea, right? Because Drea would have stolen it when Mike got voted out.
Oh,
so
I
the
thought you were talking about this. Yeah.
On the other, like, I feel like he'd be in a much worse position if he had voted Mike out.
I think
I thought you were talking about the scenario where he steals it, where he takes the idol and then he votes off Mike after taking Mike's idol. Like, then he, you know what I mean? Like,
that scenario also exists. It's crazy.
I think he made the best move, honestly, because
that would put a bigger target on him too.
Basically everything Will's saying, that like, it's not great with all these idols flying around, but honestly, I really just think that Drea is the biggest threat to Omar winning the game, period. So like, I think if he specifically gets to the end with any combination of people left, he'll probably win. So like, that's the main reason he needs to get rid of her, and because she does have a million advantages, right? Like the extra vote and all this kind of stuff she has at final 6, it just gets more and more dangerous. So I think getting rid of her and solidifying in Mike is like, that Mike has sort of wanted to be in a guys alliance the whole time. Like, he's probably not going to turn against you. Maybe not. But now it looks like based on the preview, he might. But
I also think Omar used the Roxroy vote to his benefit to like really draw in Mike. So it's a good point. Like, does Mike feel like they're really good friends? I mean, Sam, I want to
also the Roxroy vote absolutely made no sense for High or Mike. That was extremely stupid.
I thought I
should have just voted out for Romeo.
Sam, my question to you is like, how does Omar get to the end? Because of what Drea said, I think in this, like, Drea very much makes it known that like Omar sort of screwed her over, not in like a malicious way, but in certainly like a here's the information way. And I think that the walls are closing in on him. What do you see as a way for him to get out of this?
Well, I feel like he claims that like, oh, like obviously the jury hates me, so like, I'm not as much of a threat, like that kind of thing. I feel like Lindsay also is more with him than like she's with Mike and Jonathan. So I as much as like I think Mike is the one that wants the final 4 to be like the old whatever their tribe was, like, with Jonathan and Marianne and Lindsay. I feel like Lindsay is like definitely an avenue that he could use. I feel like him and Lindsay seem to be tight. Like we're seeing them like kind of off together, like strategizing in this episode. And I feel like he also could do a good job of kind of leading like the people on the bottom of like, hey, you guys like want to do something? Like Romeo on the bottom. Like Romeo also has been shown to be one of his numbers as well. So like if he has Romeo, if he has Lindsay, if he can even like get Marianne, I feel like he can definitely like. He also has Jonathan. Like at this point, I feel like honestly everyone except for maybe Mike, and that's only what we saw in the preview. Like up until this point, like all people in the game have been shown to have an individual alliance with Omar and like think that he's the closest person to them. So I feel like everyone's going to want him as a number, unless like this, if Mike starts coming against him, like I don't even know what numbers Mike would be able to get, because I feel like Omar would be able to get the numbers if he needed to, and he has Mike's idol.
I kind of hope he doesn't give the idol back. I feel like Ian, that's the drama you want, right?
Oh, that's the drama that is the drama I want. Although it does conflict with my desire to see Mike win the game, but that is the drama that I want to see. That's that.
He wins immunities because he doesn't have his idol. Then that's what he finally needs to like push him over the edge.
Yeah,
I will say that
this would be his gas in the tank.
I don't understand these people with these the knowledge advantage. Both seasons they just told people about it. It seems like the key to this whole advantage is to not tell anybody, especially because okay, in this scenario, you're sitting around camp, you're Dre, you're like, oh, I'm a genius, I can read people so well, and I can tell they're voting me out. This is bad news bears. So, but luckily for me, I can just steal somebody's idol and I'll be safe. But then you're gonna go to somebody who you already suspect is planning to vote you out and tell them that you're planning this, like you already thought Omar was planning to vote you out, right? Because he hadn't come to you saying, oh, they're trying to vote you. So why does she trust him with this information? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think that she knew that like her name was being tossed out yet at that point, though. Like I think that she thought that that it was still going to be Romeo, because from that conversation, it looks like Omar was still like playing into the fact that it would still be that the official plan was still Romeo. I'm like, oh, we can get Mike next week. I think that's what they were saying in that conversation. But in the sense you're saying, I feel like, yes, it's a horrible idea to tell anybody about that advantage. Like it's played out exactly the same as season 41. And in some ways it feels like we're watching an alternate like universe of season 41 where there's just like different people, but like the same thing just like happen. Like, all right, like everyone does their shot in the dark, like doesn't work. Like same exact twist, whatever, like no swap. We get to this point, the hourglass is broken. Obviously, the person obviously does the Monty Hall problem wrong, but doesn't matter, and they're still safe. Someone tries to steal the idol and it doesn't work.
It's the same exact.
It's the same season.
So actually, Marianne, I'll put my money on it right now. Marianne is gonna win this season, and then you're gonna see a bunch of takes about how Omar got a really unnecessarily good edit and actually didn't do anything on the show basically.
No. Everybody is going to come back and win because obviously the person that smashes the hourglass wins the game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. There you go. Well, I also kind of want to ask this idea of, is the knowledge is power advantage actually a good advantage? Because here's my pitch. Because it can go wrong. Like what you always need in advantages is the ability to misplay them and the ability for things to not actually work out. Like with the extra vote, you might be you still need other people's votes to help you execute something. With an idol, you could play it and not get any votes and you played it wrong. Will, how do you feel about the knowledge is power advantage? Because I think it's kind of funny when the rules are just it's not Mike's idol anymore because he handed it off to Omar for one tribal council. So fuck you. Your advantage doesn't work anymore. How do you feel?
It's a great advantage if you just don't tell anyone. I mean, that's the fundamental thing. I don't someone else already just said that. I don't understand why she would tell anyone that she's planning on stealing it. You should keep that information really close to the chest, even closer to the chest as you could with a hidden immunity idol.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, yeah. Sam, how do you feel about knowledge is power?
I mean, I can understand why she was doing it. I understand the temptation to tell people about it because the whole idea is if you steal their idol, you want to vote them out at that tribal. And therefore, you need to have some sort of plan in place for, how you can get that person out. But I just feel like there's something I'm not a huge fan of about, the idea that you cannot lie. If someone asks you for the idol, you can't lie. You have to give it to them. To me, that just feels like it's fundamentally Survivor is about lying. It's taking away a fundamental tenet of the game of Survivor. The whole idea of if you win a challenge, you won the challenge. You can't have that taken away from you. If you found an idol and someone wants it, the idea of just you have to tell the truth and give it to them. It's just like, I don't know. It just feels like it's twisting what Survivor is in some ways. That's why I don't. But I don't know. There's some things I do like about it, and like for the drama and for the TV aspect, I definitely think it's entertaining to watch.
Okay, but why do you have to steal someone's idol and vote them out that episode? I feel like you're just getting greedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a 2-for-1. Like, why can't we stop trying to maximize all these advantages so much for the dramatic effect and use them in undramatic ways that get you a minor, you know, gain out of it, rather than waiting until it blows up in your face?
I feel like it's because like the players, a lot of them, they don't want to have like conflict with anybody who's still on the show, it seems like. So it's like, if you're gonna piss somebody off by stealing their idol, that's like the most violating thing you could possibly do to somebody in Survivor. For like, you know what I mean? Like, Mike's been holding that all this whole time. That's his baby, you know? And then he just freaking took it from him, and he's like, with what now? Some advantage I've never even heard of. Like, that's egregious. He'll be so angry with you after that. It's like,
he's gonna be starting a war against you, like, for the rest of the time that he's in the game.
I also feel like if you're gonna, but it's also kind of a dumb advantage, because I honestly think if you're gonna steal someone's idol, unless you already have another idol, which I guess she would have if Lindsay was voted out, but like you almost sure you're just gonna have to play it immediately, or else everyone's gonna come after you, you know, the next time.
Right. So hot take: why can't you steal the idol after the votes have been cast, but before it's read, so you can have that dramatic moment like when someone plays a hidden immunity idol? Because that would encourage someone who thinks they're getting voted out tonight. So it's not about this other person. We're trying to get that other person out, take their idol and vote them out. It's about me. I'm in trouble. So when I think I'm about to get voted out, I know someone else has an idol to play it for me. So I take their idol from them right before the votes are read. Like, I think that would help the advantage.
My opinion is that this just shouldn't exist on a season where there are publicly spoken about idols. Like any other season where you don't have to make a stupid fucking phrase to announce that you have an idol, it would be fine, and it would just work.
It would make a lot more sense. It would make a lot more sense in a season. Yeah, for 100%, it would make a lot more sense in a season where everyone didn't know who everyone has the idols are. But in general, they're all just not concerned about, like, the people who don't have advantages should all be teaming up on all the people with advantages. Because really, like, if you're one of these few suckers, who is it? It's like Omar and who else?
It's Omar
Jonathan,
and Romeo and basically Jonathan. Yeah.
It's like, you guys should all team up and be like, yo, we're about to just be totally screwed over by everybody having a billion advantages. But no one seems concerned about it at all. I think it's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Will was saying once that he was like hypothesizing that like having advantages in the new version of Survivor like isn't a good thing, because it just like it seems like it's hurting people more than it's helping them for the most part. Like I don't even see an advantage played correctly. Like, has one been played correctly this season? I feel people just been voted off for like having them for the most part.
I don't remember the last time one was played successfully.
I don't know.
You could maybe say that Drea and played theirs successfully, but technically only one of them would have gone home, and also it was more like it was more just like a screw you Tory, like rather than like a protect yourself.
Didn't Sandra get idled out in Winners at War? I remember that one. I guess
Sandra got idled out, so that would
and there's the whole one where Sari got like advantaged out in Game Changers.
Yeah,
so there are definitely moments where it is critical to have the advantage, but it just seems like in the last 2 or 3 seasons, I don't know.
There's just too many of them is the thing. Like, I think it's almost that like there's so many of them that it almost does become just background noise to a point. Like, I don't even remember who has any of them ever. Like, one of you guys mentioned that the fact that Mike even had an idol, I honestly forgot he even had it until somebody brought it up. I was like, oh, Mike.
I remember him talking about soccer and whatever, that whole shtick.
Dude, that was I have short-term memory loss. That was a billion years ago. Like, I have no idea what was happening with that.
I mean, at a certain point, if you have enough advantages, the result of the game is just going to become random, and it won't be impacted by social strategy, by relationships, or by skill. If you keep adding enough advantages, it just becomes a purely random outcome.
I think one day we should just do or die for every person, every tribal. You just pick a box, and either you're safe or you're not, until somebody gets to the end, and then
I've heard of
talk about like
how would you guys
boxes.
How would you guys?
Are you gonna bring up the everybody has an idol season?
They should just have.
That's a good idea. I actually think that's a good idea.
Like Risk, like rolling the dice over and over and over again for 10 minutes until there's one person left.
Everybody has an idol season is a good idea. There's no advantages except that everyone goes into the game with an idol and everybody knows it. So everyone gets one idol for the entire game and everybody knows that everyone else has an idol. That's like I feel like that could actually be kind of interesting. But as an aside, another idea I had once is that there's no, like, you can't, the only way to acquire, they're not hidden, there's stuff like that. The only way to acquire advantages, or like the clues to advantages or idols or whatever, is if you're like if you vote incorrectly at the previous tribal. So you basically have to be on the bottom to like get access to the advantages, because then if the whole point of them is some kind of rubber banding effect, then they would, be more, then like you don't have the scenario where all the people on the top also have all the idols, and then you just like, crush.
Then you're rewarded for just being bad at the game. Like,
yeah,
it's just like you're just like playing Mario Kart. Like you're in last place. We're gonna give you a blue shell. Like,
I mean, that is how Mario Kart works. No, because being in first is still better than because if you're on the bottom, you also could have just gotten voted out. Like no one's gonna be like, oh, I want to be voting incorrectly and possibly get voted out of this game on the off chance that I get like some kind of idol clue or something.
Well, like we look at what happened to Chantal and Chanel this season. Look at what happened with Chanel this season, and Chanel like votes for Mike, and Mike will not fucking let it go, huh? And he eventually goes back on her. But that
was really hypocritical. As much as I love my boy Mike, that did not make a lot of sense. Not gonna lie.
No, it made no sense. But it was very funny that like everyone was like, well, that's the move that so and so should have done, and then when somebody does it, it just screws them. It's like maybe Survivor's about sticking to the plan.
It's funny though, because he didn't care that Drea voted for him this time. He was like laughing. I've never seen somebody happier to receive votes. He was like cackling.
I have a question for you guys. Jonathan calls Probst Mr. Jeff. Do people in All Stars call Brady Mr. Brady, or do you think Mr. Brady, Mr. Cooper should start happening?
I call Brady Hunk or something every like, hey Hunk, what's up?
I don't know. There's Coop Daddy. That's
Coop Daddy. Yeah, people did call him Coop Daddy.
They call him Coop Daddy. The Coop.
I've heard Camila was
called
doing.
the Big Sea Dog. I've heard that one before.
Big Sea Dog.
The Big Sea Dog.
I call him Coop the Scoop.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you can do a lot of nicknames with Cooper.
Yeah, Brady.
Not as many with Brady.
Bradley.
Sure, I don't know. Bradley, sure.
Yeah.
That's what Aaron called him.
The GOAT, like Tom Brady,
Oh,
it's true.
I would be in more support of Brady than Tom Brady, honestly. So that works for me.
But yeah, overall, I don't feel like there was not a ton of nicknames on the whole for our hosts in general.
Guy who can't spell Burundi.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Very one.
So the question I think now becomes like, who do you think wins the season? Who, like, you got to make a winner pick now. We've only got 6 of them left. Who? I think my fantasy team is literally just Romeo and Omer at this point, which is like boo. But Ian, who do you think is going to win this season? And not who you want, it's who you think. Use your little editing skills. Think about it.
Well, the issue is now they like kind of. I don't know. I need to talk to some people who are more deep into Edgic, because those people always know. But I feel like it is gonna be Omer. I feel like that's the obvious choice, but I guess it's almost too obvious. Honestly, now I think it will be Omer or Marianne, to be honest with you. But honestly, no. I think I take it back. I think Lindsay's gonna win.
Yes.
I think Lindsay's gonna win. That's
Lindsay?
I was gonna say that's my pick.
Yeah, I think Lindsay is
game.
like out of the box. Like she's the she's not been given the giant edit, but she also doesn't have an invisible edit. And no one's really said that much nice stuff about Marianne in general. So I don't really know if she is actually gonna win. And Lindsay has an idol now, so she is safe in the advantage get in. And if they get rid of Jonathan somehow, she could win a bunch of challenges. So
yeah, I feel like that's the thing too about Lindsay's challenge. Like, I feel like as much as people talk about Jonathan being great at challenges, like, I mean, Lindsay's been getting a lot of respect from especially this episode. Like, it's very clear that the whole cast is like, wow, like Lindsay's such a competitor.
And you never hear anybody trying to vote her out either. Like, how's she getting voted out?
Lindsay definitely gets a lot of respect, and her edit has been building and building, I think, since the merge.
So I think she had a great episode this episode, because like she survived the do or die thing, but I feel like everyone respected her for the fact that like she still competed, and like it was a really grueling challenge, and like she's either come in second or beat Jonathan in like a lot of these challenges. So like I feel like I could see her edit going like she beats Jonathan in immunity, and like he gets voted off, and like I feel like she can beat a lot of combinations of people, especially if she's like there with like any combination of like Jonathan, Marianne, and Romeo. I feel like she could.
I think she could.
Omar,
like, what happens.
I think she could beat anybody but Omar. I think he's like the front runner for if he gets to the end, will win. But I think if he gets voted out, then like it's more open season. And as much as everyone likes Mike, I also agree that like I could see him having not a great with this much of a GameBot cast. I could see if Lindsay or whoever is able to explain that Mike really didn't know as much what was going on as like he thinks he did, then it could look kind of bad for him, you know?
Yeah, what if they could either that or they could target Mike because of his likability probably before finals. But I just want to say about Omar, wasn't it the last episode 10, when he was at that reward and he told that incredible lie to Mike, right?
Yeah.
That was like the best lie that I've seen on Survivor probably since Johnny Fairplay.
100% effective.
I couldn't believe that Mike didn't like.
I know it's true. I know it's true.
Yeah.
Wait, he had Mike had a really good quote. He's like, I know it's true because it sounds reasonable or something.
Look, I wanted Drea or Mike to win. So like now that Drea's gone, I'm like definitely rooting for Mike just because he has been the funniest character throughout the whole season. He's had the best lines like just throughout. And he's been like mostly competent with his strategy. So like, I don't know. I feel like I gotta be rooting for him just because he's definitely the funniest. And I always appreciate the person who's the funniest, honestly.
I feel like Mike, first of all, I think it'd be really funny and ironic if the firefighter went out in like the fire making twist. I think that would just be really funny. But also I agree with Snyder. I think Marianne will win. But also Mike is like almost 60. And my parents are a little older than 60. I could not imagine my dad making it on Survivor. Like, I'm very impressed just from like an age standpoint that Mike is not crumbling the way that Jonathan is. We don't get like the little like whiny edit for Mike being like, I'm tired, I'm hungry.
Yeah, for real.
Jonathan lying in the shelter all day.
Mike just seems like such a reasonable guy. Like he seems like in real life
he's not in a burning building.
He just comes across like extremely reasonable. Like you'd want to get a beer with him. Like he would never, cause a big problem or whatever. He'd be like, oh, that if like there was a traffic jam or something, he'd just be like, all right, that's fine. We'll just take a faster route. It's not a big deal. We don't need to get angry about it.
Are you ready for Mike to join the firefighter winners club with Tom and Jeremy and whoever else?
Yeah, dude.
Ooh, wow. That's kind of an elite trio right there.
They do have him wearing like the same. He wears like the Jeremy outfit, right? Like just like the firefighter t-shirt.
Yeah, like the emblem and just like it gets baggier and baggier every day. I will say I always admire that Mike is like the one bald guy on Survivor who like doesn't do the like cover your hair up to show how badly your hair is growing in thing. Like Tony and Jeremy are cowards. Like show your hairline and admit that you're going bald.
Admit it.
Sam, who do you think is gonna win?
Oh yeah, I was saying I definitely think I haven't felt like it's gonna be Lindsay. Just like I just get that vibe. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I feel like she's she's a really good competitor. She is in a really good like middle spot right now, and she's like where she's respected by people, but she isn't seen as the biggest threat. And I feel like even Omar, I feel like even Omar is going to get to a point where people are going to start recognizing like he's a little bit sneaky. I feel like Lindsay just does not get that sort of like reputation at all. So like I don't know. I personally feel like it'll be Lindsay, but I feel like it's at a point where I would be happy with a lot of people winning. Like I would be totally happy with Omar winning. I would love if Mike won. Marianne, I think, would have a really good story depending on how the rest of the game plays out. Romeo's the only person and Jonathan where I would be very shocked if they won, and I just don't see a path for them. But I feel like the other four people, I really do see a path for winning. And I feel like
I need to see a lot out of Marianne or Romeo in the next couple episodes. I don't think Jonathan, I'm not even going to consider him because he has an absolutely negative chance to win the game. But like, I just don't know how Romeo or Marianne would really deserve it over Lindsay, Omar, or Mike, to be honest. But maybe.
Well, Ian, so this brings me to the question of like, how does Romeo win the game? Because I think he's the fascinating character. Well, like, is there any way for him to win the game?
No, and also he's been getting like a lot of negative content. I don't think he has any chance to win either, to be honest. Like, he gets a lot of negative content. He was barely in a lot of the episodes actually lately. So like, he not only doesn't get like post-merge, he's not gotten a lot of content. What he has gotten has been kind of sus and bad. And like he didn't even really get any credit for like surviving, even though I think he actually does deserve some, given how much people wanted him out and how long he's been able to sneak by. Like he clearly has done okay, but he gets like no credit for it. So
I mean,
really
this episode, he was never a target. We never were afraid Romeo was going to go home, and yet the only content he really got was just crap. Was just the editors crapping on him, basically.
Yeah, it was like them just showing. It could have been honestly the same angle. It could have been like the same moment of him doing it too. It just looked like from like 4 different angles.
Different cameras.
Him just eating. That was another classic Mike line. This is the only movement he makes all day.
This is the only move he's made all season. I mean, Mike is like your friend's funny dad, I feel like, where you're like, oh, like this guy is fucking hysterical. And I'm like, I would not hate a Mike win. Like I feel like in so many other seasons I've been like, God, this is such a bleak final 3, or like there's only one person I want to win, and if they don't win, sad. But I feel like on Australian Survivor a lot, I've been like, I will lose my mind. But this is one of the times where I'm like, actually, I really like almost everybody who could potentially win. I agree with you, Ian. I don't think Jonathan can win, but if Jonathan did win, I would be like, I'm never watching Survivor. I would turn off the TV. I would get off the couch and be like, I can't do this anymore. We just lost Sam for a second, so I hope he'll come back. But
he said that his computer died and he's trying to get back on now. That was
my guess. We can make it work. So my last kind of question in all of this is, when is Survivor Michigan All Stars coming out? When do I get to
this fall? This fall. That's what it says in the.
No, I'm kidding.
In the things.
But Will, I want to know like what made you want to play again? No spoilies. Like, you know, you finished season 3, you decided to do this all again. Why?
I had a lot of fun the first time. I had the time of my life playing, and it's a really great group of people. You know, we have our drama and our spats, but generally speaking, I was just excited to hang out with all these people again and play another game of Survivor.
And were you surprised by the feedback that you like got from season 3? Were you surprised that people really liked you, or that you were kind of a polarizing figure? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes I get a little sad when I was reading in the YouTube comments too much about some of the hate, but I mean, I mostly kind of expected to be portrayed as a villain. The only person who I did not appreciate their feedback was this guy, I think Anders, who's the host of Survivor Maryland. This guy really, really ragged on me and said some pretty hurtful stuff. So I don't like him, and I hope he hears this.
Okay.
But other than that, any other fans, I appreciate all of your feedback, your hate, your love. I love all of you, except for Anders. Don't like you.
Well, Sam, I asked Will, and I'll ask you as well. What made you want to play All Stars? What made you want to play Survivor Michigan again?
Yeah, sorry, my laptop died. Just got back in, jumped into a wonderful question. What made me want to play again? I mean, for the same reason that I would have competed in that challenge if I was on season 42. I cannot turn down another chance to play and compete and in Survivor. It's something from the moment I was voted off season 2, I was like, I need to play again. I need my chance. You know, I was already plotting. I gotta play. I gotta do it. So, yeah, I was excited to be cast, and yeah, can never turn down that opportunity to play again.
It's a really great cast, Ian, and I love the casting special that you did with Brady and Katie and everybody. And I really enjoy listening to the insights. So guys, it's coming out soon, but there's a lot of other things you can do in the meantime. If you're not caught up on Survivor Michigan, you can watch Survivor Michigan. There's plenty of time. Sam has an amazing podcast, Keep Your Torch Lit, and you guys talk all about it as well. Some great directly from the players to you insight, which I think is really, really great. And Sam, are you guys going to be covering All Stars?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be covering All Stars. It'll be great. Joe and Paul, if you know them from the Call Survivor community, will continue to do power rankings for us, and definitely we'll have to do some sort of collaborations. I love that there's going to be multiple podcasts covering All Stars. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, it'll be a great ride.
Yes, we're gonna have a cast assessment at some point soon. I think we're waiting until the premiere is closer, so we really get that build going. But I'm super excited, Ian. I know how hard you must be working. And so Ian, what else should people do? Like, is it watching the seasons back, commenting on YouTube, subscribing, commenting in Discord? What do you think is the best way to stay engaged with Michigan right now?
Yeah, they should just keep checking the various social media accounts. We're going to be announcing some other stuff soon for like our plans for the summer, which don't include the premiere. The premiere will be in the fall, as has already been said. But we have some other plans for how to keep people excited and to go back through the previous seasons and just think about their favorite characters and how they want to see them compete on All Stars, because all of them bring it, and just mentally prepare themselves, because it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. I expect people to laugh. I expect them to cry, and they'll have to go through it with the players and experience what was definitely one of the wildest couple months of my life for sure. And I wasn't even playing it. So,
are we going to have any of those really sad intros with the piano music and the rain falls?
Oh, I've considered that for multiple episodes potentially the sad intro. I don't know if I don't know if it'll necessarily. It depends. I've considered the sad intro for a few episodes, because I mean, you really can do it for every episode. I believe that someone cried at every single tribal. Honestly, I think that's. I don't know if that's like. I don't know if that's a spoiler or what that is, but like I believe it's close to a fact. Maybe there was one or two that somebody didn't cry at, but for the most part, it was just. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls, it's kind of what Michigan All Stars is like. It's just it's Niagara Falls mixed with the Red Wedding, so it's gonna be a great time, and everyone's
all right. So pick out a nice lighthearted sitcom, maybe New Girl, something like that, and just make sure you have an episode ready to watch after each episode of Survivor Michigan All Stars.
The process, which you've seen.
But tell your therapist ahead of time that you're watching Survivor Michigan All Stars to help you process.
Make sure you have any heart issues. Your heart rate. You're gonna get your
checking your blood pressure during the episode.
Or if you like. If you want to like rewatch Avengers Endgame, that could give you a similar vibe for the type of the scope of the epic that we're discussing here.
So, oh my god, I can't wait till I think you should edit. You know how like they do like the reactions in the theaters and then those become memes. I think you should do that with like the big blind sides of Michigan and like no, and
there's a few moments in particular that I've been waiting many years to see what people how they will react to it. So it's gonna be great. I mean, I was working on it today, work on it every day, and we're making progress. So
wow,
it's gonna be good.
As Kim Kardashian said, get your ass up and work, and you really are. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. So subscribe to Survivor Michigan on YouTube, as well as follow them on Twitter and Instagram. Everybody there is doing a great job. Guys, I can't wait to watch this season. We will eventually be covering it. And if you are voted out, if you maybe win, you can still come do a live podcast with us. We're going to have it's not just me covering Survivor Michigan this season. I'm so excited. But also stay tuned for like our cast assessment, all that things. And guys, is there anything you want people to follow? Like, please plug away. But I don't know. Not everybody is looking for followers on the internet all the time. But Sam, where can people follow you and keep your torch lit?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever you want, at Sam Morris or at Mamsaurus. I don't know. It's one of those. Or Keep Your Torch Lit Podcast. So it would be KYTL Podcast. Like you're saying too about the rewatch. Like I know that there's some people out there that are Survivor Michigan fans, but you have not seen all 4 seasons. There's so much good seasons out there. If you've liked one of the seasons, watch one you haven't seen yet. Guaranteed. You will love it. It'll be great. So you know what? It'll make me even happier than following me on Instagram or Twitter to watch the Survivor Michigan episode, and it'll be great. Do that. But also follow Keep Your Torch Lit Podcast. And
Will, do you want anyone to follow you?
Well, I'm mostly off the grid, but I do appreciate handwritten letters. So you can DM me for my mailing address. Or you can follow me on my YouTube page, where I have a Let's Play series on Crash Bandicoot 2, and I post videos of my Victrola.
What is it though, Williams? Tell us, what is it?
Oh, my YouTube? It's William Bentz.
Okay, all right.
Like
Sounds
my name.
Good. We'll tune in. And Ian, I mean, is there anything else besides just watch all your hard work?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter if you want to get all of the same stuff you see on the Survivor Michigan Twitter, but just retweeted by me. That's pretty much my entire Twitter is just me retweeting Survivor Michigan stuff.
Yes, it is.
And occasionally liking Michigan football or Star Wars related posts. So if any of that content interests you, that's what you can find on my Twitter. But like Sam, what would really make me happy is if you just rewatch Survivor Michigan, or even better, tell a friend about it who hasn't seen it and convince them to watch all 4 seasons with you, because you want them to be as excited for All Stars as you are. So
yes, you can join. I think most of us are in. So if you join the Survivor subreddit Discord, there is some college Survivor sections. We are always in there chit-chatting about Survivor. So when you start your Michigan journey, jump in and everybody will want to talk to you about it all over again. Guys, Ian, Sam, and Will, thank you so much for being here with me. Kirk will be back for the finale. I don't know who's joining him, but it's going to be so much fun. Is the finale next episode or is it 2 episodes? I don't even know. I hate Survivor. I hate that they cram six votes into one episode.
I really hope it's not the next episode.
I think
I'm still hoping for a final 2. I wonder what the odds are.
Yeah, that's Romeo's chance to win. He could be.
You hold out hope, Will.
I'm hoping.
I think there are 2 more episodes. All right, we'll see.
I think
guys,
thank
you so much for joining us. Listen to Live Reality Games, the podcast on YouTube, or check us out on Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast, we'll be there. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks, Naomi.